DOM traversal simply means walk through the DOM or walk through the DOM tree and find root elements, parent, children, and sibling nodes. In order to find root elements and the other nodes like parent, children, and siblings, DOM provide a bunch of properties. So we're going to look at the properties we have to traverse the DOM. So let's move on. I'll be using this basic HTML in this lecture. And if you want to practice together, you can download this HTML from the link in the description, or you can write your own HTML. Now, in DOM traversal, the first thing that we usually learn is identify root elements. Every HTML page of the DOM document has three root elements: the HTML, the head, and the body. So the HTML head and body are root elements. They are very common. They are the part of every web page. And that's why they have their own selection properties. Own selection property means you can select them just by calling their properties. You don't need to code any selection method like get element by ID or query selector. They can be directly selected by their properties. Let me show you the properties in the console first, and then we'll come back and try to manipulate the HTML using the properties. This is the result of HTML, and here we have the console. Previously, we have learned the entire HTML is gathered under the document node or the document object. And that's why when we write the document in the console, the entire HTML of the page is returned, right? You can see the entire HTML is gathered under the document object. So the document is the topmost node in the DOM tree, and it's also a read-only property or a command. Writing the document in the console means we are trying to read it, and when we try to read it, it returns the entire document because it represents the document. The same way HTML has its own property. If I want to read the HTML, only the HTML, not the entire document, then I will use that property. The name of the property is document element, and here you see the property. And you can see the document element property returns only the HTML page. In the first option, you got the entire document. Here you can see, for example, the doc type, but the doc type is not returned here because doc type isn't the part of the HTML. Doc type is part of the document. So to select the HTML document, we have document element property. And to select only the head section of the page, we have head property. So let me call it. Now you can see only the head of the document is returned. To get only the body, we have body property. Now you can see only the body of the document is returned. So HTML, head, and body are three root elements. And to select them or pinpoint them, we have properties. Now coming back in the code, here I will show you how to use the properties to manipulate the HTML or to manipulate the document. Let's say I want to apply a background color to the HTML. So I will write So here you see, using the property, we can directly access to the HTML document. And here I'm applying CSS background color via JavaScript. We can also select the body. So the body can also be selected using its property. If I refresh the page, you will see the difference, right? And you can see in the DOM document, HTML is applied background color and the body is applied text color. So that was the first point, to select root elements. So move on to the next one. In a DOM document, there are some relationships. Nodes can be parent, children, or siblings. A single node can be a parent as well as a child at the same time. So let me show you first how these relationships are built in a DOM document. So this is our HTML, and here we have all the nodes. Here we have parent nodes, children nodes, and sibling nodes. However, it's hard to find or pinpoint them when we have the code like this. But when I change this code in a tree-like structure, then it would be easier for us to study the relationships. So here we go. Now you see the DOM tree of HTML. In the tree, if we start from the HTML node, so we can say HTML is the parent of head and body, because HTML is exactly one level up to the head and the body. Head and body are two children. At the same time, they are siblings because they share the same parent, HTML. So you see how nodes are related to each other. Now consider the body node and try to figure out some more relationships. Body is a child of the HTML, but at the same time, body is a parent for h1, paragraph, h2, another list, and script node. So all these nodes are exactly one level down from the body. So they are children of the body. And all the children are obviously siblings. So H1, paragraph, H2, list, and the script are siblings. If you go deep down the tree, you'll discover more parent, child, and sibling nodes. For example, the list UL is a parent and it has three children, three LI nodes. So this is how relationships are built in a DOM tree. Now we know how nodes relate to each other. So to select the parent of any node or children or siblings, we have properties. We use the properties and select them. So let's start with the parent node. To select the parent node of any element, we have parent node property. Now let's say I want to select the parent of the body. So I can write, so here I'm using two different properties. The body property, gonna select the body, and to the body, we apply parent node property. So it's gonna return the parent of the body. So let's log the variable, refresh the page, and here you see. So here you see the HTML, which is the parent of the body. Now let's say I want to find the parent of this paragraph. So I need to select the paragraph first. So here I grabbed the paragraph first, and to the paragraph I applied parent node property. And we know the body is the parent of the paragraph. Refresh the page, and here you see the parent, right? Body is the parent. So to select the parent node, you will use parent node property. The next we have children nodes. And here we have three properties which we can use to select children of any element. And those properties are child nodes, first child, and last child. So these properties are used to select children. The first one is the child nodes, and it returns every child of a selected node. For example, here our UL has three children. So let's grab all the children of the UL using the child nodes property. We will grab the UL first using its ID. Now to the UL, we can apply child nodes property. So here we have all the children of the UL. And here we got a node list with all the children, text node and li node. But if you look closer to the output, you will see something is weird. We have three li nodes, so there should be three text nodes, one for each. So we are getting one extra text node. So what is that extra text node? This is because of the indentation. So the indentation that we have between the elements is also considered a text node in the DAM document, right? So here we have all the children selected in the JavaScript. And remember another thing, this node list is live, just like HTML collection. So you can do some more experiments with the child nodes property. Apply it to the body and study the result. What do you get there? Move on. Next two properties are pretty simple. First child selects the first one, last child selects the last one. So selection can be done using these properties. But after the selection, we usually perform manipulation. And that manipulation part can be problematic because of the text nodes. Let's say if I want to put a different background color to all the list items here, so I can't simply loop through all the children and apply the background because background property works on element, not on the text. So let me give you a demonstration. To the UL, I select the first child, and to the first child, I apply the background, let's say yellow. So before I refresh the page, I want you to notice the first child. The first child is a text node, li is the second child, and we are trying to apply background to the text node, to the first child. So as I refresh the page, you see the error, right? So the background can't be applied to the text. So it's not so simple to manipulate the result from these properties. We must get rid of the text nodes. Text nodes are problematic. So what alternatives do we have to remove the text nodes and get only the element nodes? We actually have more children properties to select only the element children. And those properties are children, first element child, and last element child. So these three properties are gonna filter out the text nodes and you only get the element nodes. So as I apply the children property to the UL, I'll get the LI elements, only the LI elements without the text nodes. So let's check it out. Now refresh the page and here you see a live list containing only 3 li elements, children. And instead of first child, I will use first element child. So for example, to the UL, I will apply first element child. The first element child gonna select the first child. The last element child gonna select the last child. Now here we see a background yellow to the first child. And here you see the output, right? So my recommendation is use these properties to work with the children. Let's now move on. Now we have sibling nodes. How do we get the sibling nodes? For siblings, we also have two different set of properties, just like children. So let me put all the properties on the screen and then we'll talk more about them. So these are the properties we have to work with the siblings. In the first set, we have previous sibling and next sibling. The previous and next sibling work the same way as child nodes, first child and last child. That means if you use previous and next sibling, you will get the sibling element as well as their text nodes. So these two properties are problematic and we don't want siblings text nodes. We will use the next set of properties, previous element sibling and next element sibling. So here we only get the element sibling node and these are our options. So let me show you an example before we end this lecture. In HTML, this li is in the middle. It has both the siblings, the previous and the next. So to select the previous and the next sibling of this middle li, we will code like so here we have all the children and we grabbed them earlier right here. So from the list of the children, I am selecting the middle one using the index value. So the child in the middle is at index 1, 0, 1, 2, right? And using the middle child, we can select its sibling, previous and next. For previous sibling, we will call previous element sibling. Let's put another style to the sibling. And now the next sibling. Now you will see the previous and the next sibling have different text color. Let me refresh the page. And here you can see the output. The text color is changed to the previous and the next sibling. So my dear listeners, now we have thoroughly covered DOM traversal. DOM traversal simply means to find the root elements like HTML, head and body, as well as walk through the tree and look for parents, children, and siblings. Now you have good understanding of DOM structure, selection, and traversal. So you can proceed further to the next lecture. In the next lecture, you will learn how to make changes to the DOM by creating new nodes, adding new nodes, and removing nodes from the DOM tree. I'll see you there. Stay tuned.